Mr. Speaker, do you want the good news or the bad news? Well, in these times, I guess we'll have to start with the good news. It's all we've got. The good news is that David Eby, the Premier of BC, has absolutely no constitutional authority to block a pipeline. The bad news is that this Prime Minister does. Under Section 9210A of the British North American Act, works between provinces are exclusively the federal government's responsibility. So will the Prime Minister stop hiding behind the powerless Premier, get out of the way, and approve a pipeline to the Pacific today?
Mr. Speaker, I'd invite the member opposite to buy a ticket to Calgary tomorrow to see how a federal government works with the provincial government to build Canada strong.
Leader of the Opposition.
Tomorrow, the Prime Minister will wave around in the air a worthless piece of paper that he says that the Premier of BC can veto any time he wants. Here's the political problem he has. Canadians want a pipeline. They know it's the best way to get our resources to market going around the United States of America, but his Keep It in the Ground caucus is standing in the way. Why doesn't he stand up to them and stand up for Canada?
The Honourable Minister of Natural Resources.
Maybe the member opposite should explain to his constituents why the Premier of Alberta wants to stand beside our Prime Minister and talk about how to build Canada strong.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Yesterday, the Prime Minister claimed that he did not have the power to approve a pipeline. Well, too bad for him. The Constitution is public. 9210A says that it is exclusively a federal responsibility. He happens to be the Prime Minister, and he asked us to pass emergency legal powers in C5 to give him the personal authority to overturn any regulation in order to get the project done. In other words, this government has the exclusive power. He has the exclusive legal authority. Will he match that authority with responsibility and approve a pipeline to the Pacific today?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, what this Prime Minister is doing is leading. He's leading on building national projects. He's leading on building port capacity. He's leading on making Canadian steel, lumber, aluminum, and various commodities more available for homes, for big projects, to put people, unionized people, men and women from every part of this country to work building our great country. That's what this Prime Minister is doing. He's leading. What is the Leader of the Opposition doing, Mr. Speaker?
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
What am I doing? I'm standing in the House of Commons.
Fair play, Pierre. That was good.
Where's Waldo, Mr. Speaker?
That's good. That's good. That's good. I like
We
that.
know that he's in Ottawa today. We know that he's in the Bay.
I think
You can't comment on the whereabouts of another
close to the line there that we're actually
MP.
stepping over it. So if the Honourable
It's funny though.
Leader would continue, but maybe in a
We like it when Pierre
different
crosses
vein.
that line a little bit.
Mr. Speaker, I think we're finding out that if you're not there, you don't care.
All right. Throw some W's down.
The Prime Minister said, who cares that Canadian workers are losing their jobs because he broke his promise to get a deal? We care. Why doesn't he show up and prove he does too?
Yeah, Carney's probably hiding behind the curtain like Sheer hid behind.
I invite the member opposite to buy a ticket and come to Calgary tomorrow and see who cares.
Didn't he just say
The
that?
Opposition.
Well, we've gone from elbows up to who cares under this Prime Minister. Remember, he said he would negotiate a win and he would get a deal by July 21st. Well, still no win, still no deal. He's made concession after concession. He backed down on counter tariffs, on the digital services tax, on the legal action against softwood lumber, and he got nothing in return. Well, one thing. Brookfield, his company, got $80 billion in contracts hand-signed by the president just 20 days after the two met. Is that what he meant when he said he would negotiate a win with Trump?
That's a good find.
Canada,
Mr. Speaker, I know it's an inconvenient truth for the Leader of the Opposition that Canada right now, today, has the best deal of any trading partner of the United States. But you know what, Mr. Speaker? It's not good enough for Canadian workers, and it's not good enough for Canadian businesses. So unlike the Leader of the Opposition, who would have signed any bad deal put in front of him, the Prime Minister didn't do that. We said we would do the work to support Canadian workers and Canadian industries. We would buy Canadian, be our own best customer, and then negotiate a good deal with the United States.
Has broken federal or provincial laws.
Have some respect, Derek. Calling the speaker by his first name. Je vois pas que ça touche vraiment.
I don't think this has to do with any matter of federal government policy. This is a matter of provincial legislation. That was raised in the question, so I don't think that we can allow this question.
Ooh.
De Charlebourg, Haute-Saint-Charles, une deuxième tentative.
Monsieur le Président.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm speaking about federal legislation. Let's recall that the former parliamentary leader of the Quebec Liberal Party, Mauro Whiskey, said to Pablo Rodriguez that there were dubious shenanigans happening in Ottawa. I really think that this is pushing it. This is a matter of unproven rumors. This has nothing to do with the federal government's policies. I cannot allow this question.
Whoa!
Monsieur le Président, après avoir fait du...
Mr. Speaker, now we see that the Liberals want to move on to a cover-up.
South Innisfil.
They're trying to ask a question and they're not allowing it.
Says Canadians need to sacrifice more and accept a lower standard of living and quality of life, while he says, who cares about critical trade talks with the U.S., acting more like an advance team for Brookfield and standing up for Canadians. Everywhere he goes, a deal for Brookfield follows while tariffs stay in place or go up. We learned this week that the Prime Minister stands to make millions in bonuses from Brookfield's success. Why does the Prime Minister have his elbows up for him and his Brookfield buddies, but says, who cares about Canadian businesses and working families affected by tariffs?
Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Since this Prime Minister has taken office, that's exactly what he's done. In fact, we stood up for Canadian companies and workers all across this country, and just in a few minutes, the Prime Minister will do it again. He'll stand up for Canadian companies, lumber companies, steel companies, and their hard-working union members that are fighting so hard to protect the economy of their region. Mr. Speaker, why don't they get on board and fight for Canadian families instead of for themselves?
The Honourable Member for Berwick South Innisfil.
So he shrugs off critical trade talks with a smug who cares. Here's something he can't shrug off and everyone should care about. Despite the conflict of interest and ethics screen he has on Brookfield, we found out this week that the Prime Minister met with Brookfield executives behind closed doors in his office in October, proving that his ethics screen is more like a smoke screen. The Prime Minister and Brookfield stand to gain millions from his policies. He knows he can't have any contact with Brookfield, but he met with them anyways. Why would he meet with Brookfield knowing he's barred from having any contact with them?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Labour.
The Prime Minister, in a few minutes, will be doing his job. He'll be standing up for steelworkers.
He's not currently doing his job, but in a few minutes he will be.
Depends on one thing, Mr. Speaker.
Holy shit.
Canadian steel, strong Canadian steels, and the workers who produce it, Mr. Speaker. We are strengthening our steel industry, standing by our steel workers, Mr. Speaker. We are investing in our workers. The Conservatives are investing in division.
The Honourable Member for Leeds Grenville Thousand Islands.
The Prime Minister has backed down on counter tariffs. He's backed down on the legal challenge against the softwood lumber tariffs, and he's saying, who cares? Now, Canadians thought that he got nothing in his negotiations. It turns out that he just got nothing for Canadians. After his last trip to the White House, he got an $80 billion nuclear deal for his company, Brookfield, which will see the Prime Minister's own personal investments increase in value. So why is it that the Prime Minister is trading our national interests for his own personal financial interests?
There you go. That's a phenomenal question.
Of Housing and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister is standing up today for workers across Canada, for BC Wood, building affordable housing across Canada with BC Wood. He's standing up to reduce the transportation costs across the country, to get BC Wood to build homes across Canada, and to bring steel from central Canada to the east and west more affordably. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister is standing up for Canadians today, and we stand with him.
The honourable member for Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands, Eagle Lakes.
The Prime Minister's not standing up. He's backing down, like he did on counter tariffs and like he did on the legal challenge for illegal softwood lumber tariffs. But it gets worse when it comes to this Prime Minister's record on Brookfield. We learned that the Liberals gave $500 million to the European Space Agency last week. Guess who owns 50% of the agency's site where the funds are going? None other than this Prime Minister's company, Brookfield. Again, seeing his own personal profits increase at the expense of Canadians, at the expense of Canadian investment and Canadian jobs. Why won't this Prime Minister put Canadians ahead of his own financial interests for once?
The Honourable Minister of Natural Resources.
Mr. Speaker, we are in a trade war. Well, the Conservatives
Then act
focus
like
on
it.
conspiracy theory. Our Prime Minister will stand up later today and make...
If you're in a trade war, then act like it and do what's necessary.
Not from the top, but the member may continue.
Mr. Speaker, we are in a trade war. While the members opposite engage in conspiracy theories, our Prime Minister will stand up later today and announce major new supports for the forest products industry. On top of $1.2 billion we've already announced, Mr. Speaker. That's how we stand up for Canada.
The honourable member for Kildonan St. Paul.
Prime Minister talked a big game during the election, but has since failed to deliver on the U.S. trade deal. He's backed down on every Trump demand, from the digital services tax to counter tariffs to softwood lumber. He has delivered exactly zero results for Canadians on the U.S. trade war. But to be fair, he is seeing some results with his Brookfield shares, with the Americans coincidentally signing an $80 billion nuclear deal with his company a mere 2 weeks after his last U.S. visit. So why is it that under this Prime Minister, his financial investments are doing so well, but Canadian workers are being left behind?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Speaker, while the Conservative leader is busy writing letters and debating himself, we're taking action to support Canadian steel and lumber industries and workers. We've got great news. This afternoon, we will introduce and announce new measures too. Further limit foreign steel imports to ensure that Canadian steel products and producers have better access to the domestic market. Become our own best customer by building big with Canadian steel and Canadian lumber. Increase protections for Canadian steel and lumber workers and businesses so they can adapt and thrive in this new global landscape. I urge the Conservative leader to tune in, get behind these